Good afternoon. Welcome to Drive Time Sports here on the Buzz Radio Network. Rick Schaffer standing by in Northwest Arkansas. I'm Randy Rainwater from the capital city.
Ray Tucker on Drive Time Sports is brought to you by Gwatney Buick GMC.
Good afternoon, Raymond. Good afternoon, Rick.
Hey, guys.
Good afternoon, guys. Randy, I thought you were going to make a dramatic entrance there, and I've got kind of a cold, so I'm glad you're here.
Well,
Yes, you
I
do.
don't know if I could sustain it for 3 hours. So.
we were trying. Ray and I have been trying to figure out who is left in what conference across the face of America because
Yeah.
we know, in fact, as Ray is looking at the conference realignment tracker, it's going to show the Pac-12 probably has at least still
Gone.
10 or 11 members.
No, it's just got 4.
I know that. I'm talking, but this I handed to Ray. I had printed
Oh.
off maybe a week ago. So this
I see.
this is not the latest up to date conference tracker.
You know what? Wally Hall had a what's the word to put it? Anyway, had a new name for the Pac-12. It's called the Final Four.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
I wish I'd have thought of that.
I don't know where they're going. I really don't, because there's nobody out there wanting them that's going to feed their budget. You know, because you think about their athletic budgets, they're used to, 25 to 30 million a year on TV package. Their current TV package is still good. I think it's 30 million a year is what we read. That they're still used to that. Well, they're going to get at that this year, but after this year, they're not going to get anywhere close to that. So one of the stories you read was how many jobs are going to be cut, how many sports are going to be lopped off at schools like Stanford, which has a lot of sports. What are they in Oregon State and Washington State? Oregon State's been really good at baseball lately. I mean, where's that going? It's going to be.
And they
tough.
won 10 games a season ago in football.
Yeah, that's right. They did. So it's
under Justin Wilcox.
Boy, it's going to be tough for them. Don't know what they're going to do.
I cannot imagine the ACC. I mean, I know it's about as ridiculous as Oregon going to Rutgers to play a game. But if you're the only two schools on the West Coast and you are going to be playing a conference slate, forget football, maybe even to a degree, forget basketball. What about all the other sports that they play? And Stanford plays probably as many sports as any university in America.
Yeah, they do.
Rowing. Oh, I forget all the ones they do, but I mean
lacrosse.
They play all kinds of sports, and that's the reason why they win that Governor's Cup or whatever it's called every year. Used to be the Sears Cup, and now it's changed names again. But
is it the Learfield Cup?
Yeah, Learfield.
Learfield, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So big deal, big deal. Practice continues. Man, did they dial it up right in Fayetteville, and maybe across the entire state by having practice at 9:00 in the morning.
Oh, it was cool.
Oh my goodness,
Cool
because
this morning.
I don't know what you're facing now, Rick, temperature wise, but it started off nice here in central Arkansas.
Yeah.
And then as the clouds burned off and now the humidity's climbed back in, but
It's 84 in Fayetteville, 82 in Little Rock.
doesn't feel like
Right
82
now.
in Little Rock.
Yeah, and at 9:00 this morning, it was about 69.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And this was the second day in pads. Is that correct?
Yes.
They went shoulder pads Sunday and then went shoulder pads again today. Tomorrow will be the first time that they'll be in complete pads. So I don't know what the temperature is going to look like tomorrow, but they might have wished they went to all the pads and all the gear today. At least have one day where it's not just blistering. But really,
86 in Fayetteville tomorrow, 50% chance of rain.
But what's it going to be though? 3:00 on a Saturday when Arkansas opens up against Western Carolina here in Little Rock. So
probably 105.
Yeah, you're going to need to.
A 3:00 kick, isn't it?
Yes, 3:00
Yeah,
kickoff.
it is. And it's 3:00 the next week in Fayetteville.
before all the TV stuff that dictates when the kickoffs are and whatever. There was a game in Little Rock many years ago, and they moved the kickoff back because it was so hot. Moved it back to 8:00.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that. We couldn't remember which game it was.
I would have sworn it was South Carolina, but you thought it was Mississippi State, if I remember.
No, I thought it was Kentucky, but it wasn't because it was a ESPN2 game, and they wouldn't have changed the game time on that. So we're not sure which game it was. But it did happen. You're right.
How long have you had this cold, Rick?
Yesterday and today.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that Rick told me earlier, though, he felt well enough to go to the movie.
Yes, I did. I saw Mission Impossible, and it's kind of like when we were little kids, and you'd go to the TV, you'd go to the movies, and they'd show a serial, and then you had to come back the next week to see the next deal. Well, that's what this one is, and it says right over,
part one,
yep, and it is, and it clearly ends saying that you're going to need to come back and watch part 2, but with the old serials, you used to come back every week, and there'd be a new one. This one's not till next June. So now the good news is,
if you're still living, come back next year.
Yeah, the good news is I think it's finished because there's a strike right now with actors and directors and all those people. And I just have to say, I did stay and watch the credits. I do a lot of times, but I watched the whole credits because I was looking, and other than the musical things, I'm thinking none of those people are working right now, which is really sad. I hate to see that.
Is Tom Cruise the same Tom Cruise he has been in the previous?
Yeah. I will say this: he was 60 when the movie was completed. He's 61 now, and he doesn't look like he's 35 anymore. He may not look like your typical 60-year-old guy, but you'd put him in his 50s. But he's still doing the stunts, and he did do the scene where he's on the motorcycle and he leaps off the cliff with a parachute on his back, and lands on a train.
I saw them, or at least they showed some of the filming, I guess some early clips that were released in advance. And it sure looked like him. That was
it's him.
He'll try about anything, apparently.
Yeah, he does all his stunts. He's pretty amazing at that. Does all his stunts. All the actors and actresses that are ever quoted all say it's great to work with him. So pretty amazing. But I have to think, if they have completed 2, and he's 60 years old right now, and those things are usually 4 or 5 years apart, and so they'll release next June. So does that mean like 2028 for the next one? And if so, he's the only guy that's ever played in these movies. Is somebody going to replace him, or is he going to do these when he's 69 or 70 years old, or 65 or 66?
Harrison Ford still going at 80 plus.
That mission would be impossible.
But that's right. but I didn't see the new Indiana Jones one, and even David Basil said it was a 5 or a 6, and I think he was being generous. Most people I've talked to said I was worse than that.
Well, here's the thing, and
you can't do that when you're 80.
And I don't remember there being that many scenes that were, where you're pushing Tom Cruise to the max. I'm talking about Top Gun Maverick.
No, there weren't.
But there were a couple of scenes in which, depending upon which way the camera was positioned, you could see he was not 35, as you mentioned.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Of course, in that movie, he was an instructor and he was older, and they talked about how many years he'd been and never been promoted and all that kind of stuff. Well, obviously they don't say that here, but he's taxed to the limit. He does all his running. He does a lot of jumping. He does a lot of stuff. So, and evidently he still did all these things himself without a stunt man.
That's amazing.
But you just wonder, and again, hey, Harrison Ford is still an excellent actor, and he can be in all kinds of movies. It's just not Indiana Jones. That's when you're 80, you don't do that. You can do other things.
Father Time does catch up with you eventually. Yeah. All right, let's get started today with Savage. Savage, good afternoon. Welcome to Drive Time Sports. What up, Savage?
There's a difference between, you said amazing and stupid. if you pull off the trick, it's amazing. If you don't, you're stupid. So
Yeah.
there's a big difference.
That's an
when you
excellent
found the
point.
fountain of youth, So, but Rick, I think we're on a collision course with Baltimore and the Braves. What's your thoughts?
Well, I turned my volume down when my dogs barked. It was.
No,
I
let
think that
the
would. I
dogs
think
bark,
that
man.
would be great. Now,
It's all right. Let them
It's now
bark.
becoming part of the program, is it not?
with interleague play, those teams play each other every now and then. In fact, the first year of interleague play, the Orioles played in Atlanta. I went to all 3 games, but they've never
Right.
played each other in the World Series. Obviously, for the Orioles to just get back to the World Series, haven't been since 1983. I'd be thrilled no matter who they played. But the Braves are really, really, really good. And just the other day on the MLB, where they send you the updates every day, or you can look on MLB's app and you see the news. Their questioning is Shohei Ohtani having the greatest season of any player ever? I don't know. You can flip a coin on that. I'm not sure I'd say that.
Yeah.
But Ronald Acuna Jr. is the best player in the game. That guy is absolutely fantastic. And when you look at his numbers right now, they're 1930s like numbers. Back when guys were hitting he's hitting 335. He's hit 25 home runs. He's stolen 52 bases. He is absolutely astonishing. So I think the Braves will get to the World Series. I don't know if the Orioles will because of the depth of their pitching staff, but I'd sure love to see it.
Well, if you just do what Randy does, put down your team, and they'll start winning.
No, I don't do that. I don't. If
Yeah,
they're
you
bad,
know what you
I'll
do,
let
Randy.
you know. But if they're bad, I'll
Hey.
let you know. But they're good this year.
They're
I'm not saying
bad.
no.
The Yankees are bad.
Yeah, and
So
Randy,
are
I
the
got to get off here.
Cardinals.
If you can ask Trey Biddy this, because I got to get off here. Who on this team is the Hornsby or Hammonds, that elite athlete, elite speed, and has all the potential in the world that we want to see on the field, but for some reason doesn't get out there?
Oh,
Have a good one,
doesn't
guys.
get out there. I started saying because everything that I'm reading, hearing Andrew Armstrong must be pretty freaky. I know Tesla has been getting a lot of early attention, and apparently Armstrong has passed him in regards to maybe being that go-to receiver for KJ. I'm hoping it doesn't happen to Isaiah Satania because it kind of scares me because he's every day it seems like he's putting up those kind of numbers and he's got freaky
Right.
speed. But I just wonder, he had a great spring. I thought he had a great spring game. I think he had 3 or 4 touchdown receptions in that game. But what that translates to Saturdays, I don't know.
What size is Satania?
He's about 5'11",
That's what.
165,
Well, Rick-
170.
Rick, write that question down and ask Trey, and I'll get off here. Appreciate it, guys.
Okay.
Right.
It's a good question to ask. I think Satania is going to play a lot. And he might even end up being the kickoff return guy. AJ Green is evidently improved vastly at running back. He's also the kickoff return guy, but he's never really, I don't remember him really breaking one, maybe one
No,
or
he
two.
didn't. No, he didn't.
But Satania is dangerous back there, and he may be the guy that ends up returning kickoff.
He was great in high school at that.
Good
For
problem to have.
Fayetteville.
Yeah.
That's true, Raymond. Competition always brings out the best, hopefully. Let's talk. Oh, okay. We won't talk to him after all. Okay. This from our, got to get it right, Southern Structural Solutions Buzz text line.
Huh.
This came from the 501. Says this is the last of the Mission Impossible series. So it's in the can. So
Okay.
if that's the case, no more.
Yeah. Wow. Well, they've been really, really good. I've sure enjoyed them. I love the music. So I went back and watched all 6 of them before I went to see 7 so I could kind of remember all the plots.
Hmm.
But they're very good. And I get that. And Harrison Ford, he was asked about Indiana Jones, and a little bit of vanity showed up. He said, I am Indiana Jones. Nobody else can play him. So I'm going to guess that's it for Indiana Jones, 5 movies. And Tom Cruise has never said that, but I'm going to guess that's it. Where with James Bond, there have been several to get to 25 James Bond movies, and we don't know if there's going to be another one soon. But Mission Impossible would be really weird without Tom Cruise.
See, the last James Bond movie, 007 got killed.
Yeah, right.
And prior to that, there was a black actress, and she was known as 007. And so everybody's thinking that she's going to be the next James Bond.
No, no. Even in this day of political correctness, the true James Bond fans would never accept that it's not a British white man. It's just not going to be accepted. Yeah, I mean that's the movie wouldn't go over well if they did that. Disney has found out by being politically correct, their movies aren't making it. So I don't think they would do that. But the interesting thing is, I can't remember who it was, but somebody bought MGM Studios, and MGM makes all the James Bond movies. And so the thought was that's one of their most valuable assets. Surely they're going to get a new James Bond and make James Bond movies. But I've seen nothing on.
How do you bring him back from the dead then?
Well, they could go
Are you-
back and start all over again, or say, go back to before then, or remember when you were a kid and you watched the Frankenstein movies?
Oh yeah,
And
he died many
Frankenstein-
times.
Yeah, Frankenstein was in the windmill and drowned and all that kind of stuff. And the next movie he came out. So somehow maybe he. Although the thing is, at the end of that movie, yeah, he's just standing there, and here comes the missiles right at him. But in the movies, they can figure out a way you can still live.
Kind of like Godzilla. He came back many a times.
They do come back. Those monsters do come back.
From the dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't scare him at all.
Yeah.
They tend to bounce back. It's from our Asher Record Service Company live fan feedback. Jamie says, will the leftovers of the Pac-12 invite Arkansas State and Memphis to join their athletic league? Well, what are going to be the rights fees? $25 per school?
That's the thing is, what kind of package are they going to get? And you're all
If Stanford and Cal is headed to the ACC, you can't have a league with two teams.
No, and do you really think that's going to happen?
I don't know.
I
mean,
can't believe it.
the Mountain West signed a 12-year, $1 billion contract with I think it's ESPN. And that might be the only way that now Oregon State and Washington State, and maybe for that matter, if the other two leagues stuck together, I mean, the other two schools, Cal and Stanford, stuck together, to me, their only viable option right now. You can't go independent.
No.
Best option is going to be go Mountain West.
Well, what if those four schools join the ACC? And geography doesn't make any difference anymore.
I know, but golly. But see, why would the ACC want them?
Yeah, why? Now,
the
Stanford and Cal, from the academic standpoint, they love
yeah.
to beat their chest about what an academic conference
right.
the ACC is. That's a long way. What, 3,500 miles away, just so you can brag about two more academic institutions joining your league?
How far is it from Oregon to Rutgers?
And you're not going to be able to expand. You think the TV partners, just because you brought in Cal and Stanford, are going to say, oh, let's renegotiate now?
No.
Oh, Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, Duke, they'd jump up and down. Yeah, let's renegotiate. Give them an out to get out of the ACC.
Just think of the travel costs. Let's say for Stanford's men's and women's tennis teams to go and go to Rutgers and play.
Yeah, right. Well, UCLA and USC are going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But think of the irony. When Arkansas joined the SEC, Coach Broyles had talked to Texas and Texas A&M both about coming with them. And the SEC thought that was a strong possibility. And they thought Florida State would be the other school. They thought they'd add 4. Florida State, Bobby Bowden said, we're not going into that league. We're winning almost every game now. We're not going to do that. So they didn't. That's how South Carolina came in. But Texas A&M was ready. They wanted to come in the worst way. Texas said no. Texas said they identified academically with more like the schools of the Pac-12. And so isn't it ironic that the academic league has collapsed and Texas is going to the SEC? I think that's pretty funny. I hope Texas never wins anything in the SEC.
Very true. I can't argue that. AAC interested in adding the 4 remaining Pac-12 schools. The that is the American Athletic Conference.
Okay, I'm sorry to ask. Who's in that?
This was the same conference that lost the 3 schools when it Houston,
Cincinnati,
Cincinnati,
All
South
right.
Florida, or
So is
Central Florida.
Central Florida,
in that league,
yeah.
SMU in that
Yeah.
league, Rice.
yeah, Rice. And they're hoping that they can expand.
So if they got those 4, maybe their TV package may be next to nothing. Maybe it'll be at least moderate. if
It was
they
the
got those
AAC.
4.
I said the Mountain West. It was the AAC that had the 12-year, $1 billion rights
Oh,
deal with ESPN.
okay.
AAC. They added Charlotte, Florida Atlantic, UAB, North Texas, Texas San Antonio, Rice from Conference USA.
Time now to talk about the good folks, betsaracen.com. How are you, Stuart?
I'm great, Randy. How about yourself?
This is Ray, and Randy's
I'm here.
in studio with us also.
Okay, all right.
Hey, what's going on with you guys right now?
Oh gosh, we got Major League Baseball, of course, is in full swing. We've got preseason football starting up full blast this week, Thursday through Sunday. So there's lots of games every day.
And we had a lot of
Excuse me.
had a lot of activity on the World Cup.
Yeah, we did up until U.S. got knocked out. We're still getting quite a bit of activity, though.
I'm afraid to ask you another question here. I'm not sure if you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Major League Baseball. People love Major League Baseball to wager on it, don't they?
They really do, and there was always in the industry a couple of issues with the length of the games, which has been addressed, and the speed of the game, and that's also been addressed. We've got the flash bets now, so you can bet on what's going to happen next in the game rather than waiting for a final outcome. It's brought a lot of the younger people back into betting baseball, which is what the whole point of the exercise was, and we're getting really strong numbers on baseball this year, and anticipate that continuing on from here.
If you would, very quickly, just tell us how Flash Bet works.
Flash bet, you got to go once the game starts. You go into in game, and then you hit flash bet, and it'll give you all kinds of options. Whoever's going to be batting next, how many hits they would get in the inning, whether they're going to score runs in the inning, and how many. The more specific it gets, the higher the payouts are. But it just basically goes inning by inning and at bat by at bat. You can choose whether the next batter is going to fly out, strike out, get a base hit, get a home run. And so basically it makes the game very, very quick moving because you have the ability to make bets every minute or two.
I bet it is. Stuart, appreciate you. I'll talk to you later this evening, 7:20 on Ray Tucker's Arkansas Outdoors.
Sounds terrific. Thank you.
All right. BetSaracen.com. Randy, that app is so easy to download. You go to the App Store and bam, you got it.
It is very easy, no question. And you can also go online at BetSaracen.com. And oh, by the way, the Double R specials are out for the season. Yeah. Let's talk to Steve. Steve, good afternoon. Welcome to Drive Time Sports.
Hello, gentlemen.
What's up, buddy?
You know, guys, I don't feel bad that the women soccer team got knocked out of the World Cup they're playing in.
All I saw was highlights. I wasn't impressed with their play.
Well, the thing of it is, they are so woke, it's ridiculous because the one that retired said, "Oh, we need some transgenders playing soccer." And several of them would kneel toward on the national anthem. Some of them turned their backs. So to me, that is un-American. You know, that's not like the 1980 USA hockey team that beat Russia. I'll never forget that euphoria that was going through the country when that happened.
Well, the thing about it is, they have the right to say those things, but not when they're wearing the USA uniform. If they feel that way, that's fine. They can come back and say all they want to. I'm not against that. You can say whatever you want. But when you're wearing the USA uniform, you're representing the country.
That's not what I'm saying, Rick. Yeah. I mean, I was just against the annex that they were doing.
Yeah. No, that's what, when you're wearing the USA uniform,
it's
different. You got to represent the United States.
You representing this country.
That's right.
But anyway, enough of that soapbox. I could get on others, but I know this is not the right show to do that.
Thank you.
But, I'm looking forward to the football season coming up. Do you think Cam Little can have a better year than he did last year, guys?
Do you see what his goal is?
90%. Yeah.
Nobody in Arkansas history has ever done that before, and he's been over 80% each of the first 2 years. So pretty amazing. He is good.
Well, he said he's got it wrote on the eraser board. 90% is my goal. And
That is a heck of a goal.
who do you think will be the top receiver, maybe? And Ray, I got a Cowboy question for you.
Okay.
What is Jerry Jones going to do with Zach Martin? Is he going to let him go?
I have no earthly idea. I hope not.
Doesn't want to pay him.
If he don't want to pay him, I can't blame Zach for leaving the Cowboys.
No.
But it's time to get it with football, guys. It's time to put the helmets on, shoulder pads. Let's lace them up and let's go, guys. Talk to you later.
Strap it and let's go. Thanks, Steve. Let's talk to Kevin. Kevin? Never mind. Let's see. This from the Southern Structural Solutions Buzz text line. This from the 479. I've got a 35-minute drive from 401 to 436 to listen to all I can about Razorback sports. Well, this is Snoring Bob, but he's not in 479. Please quit talking about some stupid movie. First of all, we don't have 35 minutes. We don't come on until 4:06, and we go out at 4:28. So it doesn't quite fit the time frame that you're talking about.
But we're sorry, and there are topics that we do hit on sometimes, and boy, you better never listen to the morning show. They talk a lot about stuff like that. It's a whole different deal.
It is a whole different education. You are right. You are correct.
That's right.
Speaking of Zach Martin, Zach Martin is getting fined $50,000 each day he misses.
Oh, my gosh.
Money has got to be adding up quickly. That from the 903.
Brutal.
Tough. $50,000 a day. Wow. Or per practice. Let's talk to Kevin. Kevin, good afternoon. Welcome to Drive Time Sports.
Hey, guys, I love y'all. I got a 35-minute drive every day. I love y'all. Y'all come on with like 4:05, right? So listen.
Have you seen Mission Impossible? No.
Please put the movies away and let me hear just a little bit about the offensive line, defensive line. I mean, I like the movies, but guys, I got a little bit of time and a whole lot of business.
There you go.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Wow.
All right, what do you want to
Kevin
know
must
about the
never-
offensive line?
He must never hear Trey Biddy, right?
I guess
That's-
not. Shall we
because
throw
he's
in
only got-
Nathan Bax as part of the offensive line? He's the tight end. Left tackle, Devin Manuel. Now, he is the guy that, to me, is the mystery of the offensive line. And the reason why I say mystery, this is a gentleman who has gone from like 390 all the way down to 285. And I think, didn't Trey say the other day he's back up to about 310?
315. Yeah.
Okay, 315. All right, I'm going to look at the roster.
Might
here.
be 312. It's somewhere in that range.
All right, Kudus is 6'5", 313. And seemed like Manuel had one of those 50 numbers, but I guess not. Yeah, there he is. 6'9", 310. 6'9", 310. That's a big man. And we know how difficult we've seen in times past. When you're that tall, it's tough, but we'll see. He, to me, is the left tackle. To me, is the major question mark going into this season. Left guard is Brady Latham. We know what Brady brings to the plate. The Outland Trophy candidate, Bo Limmer, is at center. Right guard, Joshua Braun, that is the transfer from Florida. And then we mentioned about Patrick Kudus, who will be the right tackle. Again, left tackle is the question mark right now. Then on the defensive front, and there seems to be as much movement going from first to second team, third team to second team, then third team to even first team. And most of that is centered around the transfers, because Sam has never just automatically, if you're a transfer, a grad transfer, or whatever it may be, from the transfer portal, said automatically your first team. You got to earn your way. So right now you got Jashad Stewart at one defensive end, Landon Jackson, who may be the story of the season so far, just because of how he has transformed his body, going from 245 to 280, and he's even faster than what he was. And the other note on him, he was coming off of a knee injury last year. If you remember, towards the latter stage of the season, he started making an impact last year. So I expect good things from him. Torian Carter is one defensive tackle, Eric Gregory. And Eric Gregory was at countdown to kickoff the other night. Did he not seem super confident to you, Rick? He did to me, that he's ready to take that next step and he's ready to dominate. That's kind of what I felt listening to him the other night.
Yep, seemed very confident. And of course, you didn't mention a guy, Andrew Chambly, who we like because he's such a good interview on Drive Time Sports. And he's a big guy too, and enthusiastic. And so we hope he's going to stick. And the one thing, you mentioned a lot of names. Sam Pittman thinks this is his fourth year at Arkansas. He doesn't think that. It's his fourth year at Arkansas. And he thinks it's the first year they're strong enough too deep that they don't have to play guys at different positions. In other words, if the left tackle gets hurt, the backup goes in. They don't have to move the right guard. And you hope that's the case. And obviously we will see as the season goes along. You hope you don't have injuries where you have to test it. But he feels much better about playing a two deep offensive line than he has since he's come back as head coach.
Good mix. It's a good mix. And I think they're equally as deep, maybe almost three deeper in the front four on the defensive line.
Defensively, which is amazing.
And there is some big men.
Since they've had a three defensive linemen for the last couple of years, now all of a sudden they're going to four and they're three deep. How does that happen?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Transfer portal.
But what that does for Arkansas is the fact that you play these offenses, they snap the ball in a hurry. You wear out in a hurry. And so if you're a defensive lineman, they can sub for you. It makes a huge difference fourth quarter.
And that was another thing that Zach Williams said the other night at the kickoff classic. And that was that they may not have to play as many snaps this year. More players will be involved. And that will help, particularly in the fourth quarter, where they're not just worn out. All right, Rick Schaffer, Ray Tucker. I'm Randy Rainwater. Drive Time Sports will continue in just one moment. The financial professionals at First Security are big fans of Arkansas, and that's because they're Arkansas owned and Arkansas focused. They take care of communities just like they take care of customers. Now, whatever better means to you, you're going to find more of it at First Security. As Arkansas's community bank, First Security is all about taking care of customers and making life better right here in Arkansas. So more people can buy a home, run a business, and a whole lot more. Check them out at fsbank.com. That's First Security Bank. Remember, FDIC, equal housing lender, only in Arkansas. That's First Security Bank. Now, gentlemen.
Yeah, have you been having Kevin McPherson on hold?
No.
Because didn't you send me a thing that said
Yeah, but
only
it was
there at
all
4:30?
wrong. It was all wrong.
So never mind. So we should mention then that the women, Arkansas women, are in Europe. Did you see the score of their first
Did you
game?
see the box score, though?
Yeah.
Have you looked at the box score? Okay. 0 for in Croatia All-Stars. She played. In fact, only 5 players played for Croatia. She played 40 minutes. And I asked this earlier of Raymond, so I'll ask it of you, Rick. What is the most shot attempts by one player can you ever remember?
I'm sure it's in the high 20s, maybe 30s. I'm guessing Martin Terry probably put up a lot of shots. I haven't looked at the Razorback basketball record book in a while, so I don't know if I could tell you, but probably low 30s would be the most.
Now this young lady was 4. That's FOUR 4 of 46.
She took all their shots.
46.
She took all their
and
shots.
she took all of the shots.
Nobody else shot.
She was 2 of 16 from the 3-point line. Man, Pat Bradley would love to play for this team. Think of the number of shots he could put up.
This can't be right. They must have put their team totals for her, because if you look at all the other figures, the only other statistic that any of them had was one other player had 3 assists. I guess she passed the ball to this girl on 3 of them she made, but nobody else had a steal. Nobody had a block. Nobody had a foul.
No, I want
Nobody
this
had
to
a
be the way
foul.
it is. This is the craziest box score I have ever seen.
It can't be right. Those have to be their team figures, because again, they've got 4 other players listed, and none of them did anything except one girl had 3 assists. That's all.
Yeah, I love
but
it.
The final score
was
124 to 12.
It was 44 to 1 after the first quarter.
Oh my gosh.
44.
The final score was what?
124 to 12.
I correct myself. 43 to 1 after the first quarter. Arkansas outscores Croatia in the second quarter, 27 to 6. Third quarter, 29 to 5. And the fourth quarter, Arkansas shuts out Croatia 25 to nothing. Final score, 124-14. Now, I'm sure Saracen had this nailed right down to the final.
I think they gave 100 points.
Yeah, over and under how many shots she would take.
Yeah.
She might have been part of that.
I know. 100 points. So anyway, for the Arkansas women, we should point out that Emery Ellis was the leading scorer with 19 points. Obviously, Mike Neighbors didn't run it in. He played a lot of players, or poured on, played a lot of players. Settler Poffenberger scored 18 points. They had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players in double figures. But how about this? They forced 38 turnovers and made 26 steals.
And they had 65 points off the turnover.
Yeah, wow.
And 76 points in the paint. Man, Mike, can your team live up to those numbers game in, game out? That's going to be the question.
Now Darrell Walker's Little Rock men's team departed this morning for Italy. We're on an 11-day trip in Italy.
You should have had to go and broadcast the games.
Well, they weren't going to broadcast them, but anyway, I didn't get invited to go. I'm still puzzled by that, but anyway, that's okay. No big deal.
Let's talk to Mike. Are you there this time?
Hey, Randy. Yeah, I just I got disconnected.
That's all right, buddy.
Earlier, but I see you have the legendary Triple R gang
That's it.
back in action.
That's it.
And Randy, there's a spot that the last show uses. It's a clip, or maybe all the shows use it. I don't know, but it's Sam Pittman. He talks about he's gonna go drink some old cold beer.
Oh, I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that one.
Right, which is great. That's fine. I mean, people they enjoy that. But in my esteemed opinion, instead of worrying about drinking old cold beer, he needs to worry about having an old 9+ win year.
He's probably thinking about that too. I think he probably puts winning ahead of beer. I do think that.
Yeah, I mean,
he does.
Are you offended by that?
Couldn't really tell last year, but he also talked up. There was a clip where they played that he talked up the new additions at wide receiver. How fast these guys look, how good they look. And fans, a lot of fans, and even him said the same thing last year about a guy like Jaden Hazelwood. He's a former 5-star guy out of high school. And then went to Oklahoma, and now he's coming here. Well, Jaden Hazelwood underperformed so badly last year that he didn't even get drafted. He had to sign a undrafted free agent contract.
Well, maybe this group coming from smaller schools,
right.
maybe they'll have more incentive and they'll do better.
You can be as optimistic as you want to and hope things work out as much as you want to, but you got to third your starting quarterback. I mean, somebody is going to have to step up. Look, Treylon Burks isn't walking back through those stadium doors, but here's another fact. After the season's over, A.J. Jefferson is definitely walking out of those stadium doors for good. So, you've got guys that can perform, but you just got to have some guys that are going to step up and show that,
But Mike, isn't it that way every year? Every year is a new year.
It hadn't been for
what about the pros? What happens to the pros when Hopkins has that 90 catch season and 1,500 yards in the next season? He doesn't step up. It happens.
Yeah. Well, it just seems like we've had one really, kind of game changer at that position the last almost decade, and that was Treylon. And those guys just don't come. They just don't grow on trees. So is Andrew Armstrong going to be the answer? I don't know. Maybe he will. I hope he will. But he's coming from a lower classification. He didn't face kind of he never faced SEC competition like he's going to face week in, week out. So.
Maybe he'll surprise everybody where you were disappointed with Hazelwood. He came from a big program. Maybe the guys coming from smaller programs will exceed everybody's expectations.
Maybe so, and that's the hope. I mean, obviously, because
yeah,
Sammy P thinks so. So I guess we'll see. But anyways, great show, guys. It's good talking to you guys again. You guys have a good evening.
You too.
All right, Mike. All right, man. I just hope somebody steps up. Just one player.
The objective as an athlete is to get better every year. And so these guys started at a lesser level. And they've shown enough talent that Arkansas wanted them. And so I think they'll end up being stars for them.
Savage is keeping score. Today, Savage says, by the way, Savage, I love your T-shirt. Are you going to send me a T-shirt like that? Got Savage on the back. Then on the front's got Drive Time Sports. I like to have one like that, Savage. Anyway, Navy Mike hit 28 knows. That from Savage. That from our Southern Structural Solutions Buzz text line.
Well, Savage, Mike is always wanting Razorback players to improve. Maybe when he heard that, next call he'll only have 22 knows.
Yeah.
And then maybe the next call 15, so that way he could improve on that too and meet some expectations.
From our Asher Record Service Company live fan feedback, the Arkansas, this is from Trey, says the Arkansas women whooped their European opponent so bad, I'm afraid that Interpol may start an investigation. That was a beatdown. Well, coming up next, Trey Biddy of hogsports.com being brought to you by Asher Wrecker Service Company. Hour number 2, straight ahead. Hour number 2 at Drive Time Sports in the Buzz Radio Network. Rick Schaffer standing by in Northwest Arkansas. I'm Randy Rainwater from the capital city.
Ray Tucker on Drive Time Sports is brought to you by Gwatney Buick GMC. Now to Trey Biddy, brought to you by Asher Wrecker Service, 501-562-2293. Family owned and operated since 1980. Asher Wrecker, dependable towing and vehicle recovery service. Ask for Asher.
Good afternoon, Trey.
Hey, guys.
Man, does it not feel good to go out at 9 o'clock in the morning?
Oh, man.
You get to go out.
Beautiful.
You get to do your work. Then you go back home, write your stories, and your day is, pretty much done, is it not?
Yeah. I mean, it almost feels like I have a 9-to-5 job for once. I mean, I don't think I've ever had a 9-to-5. I mean, before this, I was working in a field farming 20 years ago. So, yeah, it's been, well, first of all, the weather's been fantastic. I mean, it was 68 degrees this morning, I wish they would do the 6:40 a.m. Practice every day, but 9:05 is not bad. The weather's been great. It has been raining the last couple of days, so they've been indoors, but I mean, like I said, it's 68 degrees this morning. And, you get done with that. You watch, we've had about 30 minutes of practice each day, maybe a little longer actually. So that's been nice, and get done with that and press conference, do some transcribing, crank out some articles. I've been spending a lot of time doing more in-depth stuff, focusing on individuals, just kind of giving my opinions on those guys, comparing them to other players that I see and players of the past, and, those kinds of things. So that's been enjoyable because there's been so many new players out there. I do find myself, at least the first few days, Randy, I found myself working pretty late, just out of habit. Couldn't help it. And luckily it's something I enjoy doing, but special teams day, it was a little earlier knocking off for that. But yeah, it's been really good. It's been a fun camp. I wish they do the early practices all the time, but so many new players out there that it's just exciting. It's exciting to go out there and see those guys. It's a big team. According to the testing numbers, it's a fast team. And I don't know. I mean, as far as the individual players go, the roster that's assembled, I think it's the best roster that Pittman has had since he's been head coach at Arkansas. I think it's the best roster. Is it the best team? We got to figure that out. We'll find out soon enough on that. But as far as individuals, it's a good-looking group.
I read that article. Is this Coach Sam Pittman's best team? And when I saw that, automatically, I mean, you got to click onto it. You got to read it because you're thinking best ever. I mean, wasn't that long ago? What, 9-4, a 9-win season? So not that long ago. That's well worth reading. All right, where do you see right now, Trey, the biggest? I hate to call it a battle. It makes it sound like we're in war, but where do you see the greatest competition, I should say, at what position?
Well, just in the secondary, I think you've got some things you have to work out. From what I've seen and really some of the whispers that I've heard, Keon Stewart has been, I don't know if it's a surprise, but they've been pleased with him. They've been real pleased with Jaheim Singletary. I mean, you can go out and watch Jaheim Singletary and say, I mean, this guy, first of all, I thought he was going to be skinny still. He's not. Everybody was like, yeah, he's got a lot of potential. He's skinny because he was listed about 187 pounds, 170 pounds. He's 187 now. He's the tallest cornerback out there, even though you've got other guys listed at 6'2". Singletary is definitely the tallest. You may have the quickest feet. So you've got a couple of guys like that to me make it intriguing to really consider moving like Snacks Johnson either to safety or nickel. I kind of think nickel for him, leaving Walcott at safety. I just feel like nickel's such a tough spot. They call it the hog. I mean, you got to be able to tackle running backs. You got to be able to cover slot receivers. You got to be able to take on blockers in the screen game. I mean, sometimes you're the conflict defender and everything they're doing RPO game revolves around what you're doing. I mean, there's all kinds of responsibilities. It's just a tough position. I kind of like Snacks there. But but we'll see. I think we'll probably get through these few practices. They'll take off Wednesday and then maybe try to shuffle some things around. So I would say secondary, linebacker, that, whoever's going to be the linebacker next to Chris Paul, I think is something to watch. Gene Thomas, Antonio Greer. I wouldn't rule out Jordan Crook just yet either. Defensive line, I don't think it's like just a competition. I just think they've got so many bodies, just like one guy, just one 300-pounder after another. I mean, it's unlike anything I've ever seen. And, then you got one 280-pound, 270-pound defensive end after another. So defensive line, I mean, I think it's more, who goes out there first, but it's going to be a steady rotation of guys, I think, which is really ideal. The offensive line, I think they're settled there, Randy. I really like what I've seen out of Devon Manuel lately. And I mean, like really like what I see out of him. I mean, he's moving really well. He's got really good size at 6'9", 310. I think that he's going to be, a staple figure on this offensive line for the next few years. Kudus on the other side, probably a little more inconsistent, but so much potential and has 21 more practices, to get everything ironed out. What people don't realize about Patrick Kudus, he's 18 still. He's the youngest second-year player on the team. In fact, there are players who are second-year players on this team who are 20 already. There are freshmen, true freshmen on this team, class of 2023 guys who just got here who are older than Patrick Kudus. You used to always say, like, go out and find baby-face offensive linemen, because, they're just going to mature. Not that Kudus is baby-face, but he's young. So for him to be in the spot he is and play last year as a freshman at times, he didn't redshirt last year, is pretty remarkable. Now he's got a few more days. August 12th, I believe, is his birthday, but still, he's the youngest second-year player on this roster. So, I still think you look at that right tackle spot, I'd probably say he's probably the fifth best right now, offensive lineman that they have. Manuel might be, Manuel's probably in the top three, maybe even better than that. He's really coming along well, so that's encouraging. I think the battle between him and Landon Jackson has helped him out a whole lot also. So I know that's a long answer, Randy, but really ultimately I would say where I started out, just secondary, just figuring out the pieces there, who goes where, what kind of alterations you need to make. Like Jalen Lewis has been the starting hog, the starting nickel, and I like Jalen. I think he's got a future at Arkansas. But is he one of the five best defensive backs on the team? I don't think so. I don't think so right now. So got to figure some things out there.
Now, two observations, and I think I've looked at every depth chart so far that's been published. Are they playing a little bit of a mind game with McLaughlin? Because he has been running second team. He also started off on the first team, but now he's on the second team. And then the number 2 running back spot in behind Raheem Rocket Sanders, it seems to fluctuate between one day it's DeBinion, the next day it's A.J. Green.
Yeah, it's probably more fair to call that an order of appearance, Randy. I mean, there's a pretty good base. It's the fastball period that they run at the start of practice. For those who don't know what that is, it's 11-on-11 football. They run about 4 or 5 plays with the first team, second team, third team. And we chart everybody who comes out. Generally, it's the same base of players. It's going to be KJ Jefferson, the starting offensive line. It's been, I believe, the same tight end. I believe it's been Nathan Bax every day through these first few practices. It's a different mix-up of wide receiver. It's always Rocket Sanders. Defense is definitely more shaken up. They definitely come out with, different guys in different spots on defense. And, I think it's just an opportunity to get a, good quick look at somebody while, with the first team, or see how they play without this guy in the mix. Traylon Burks, I don't think he ever went out on fastball. Dwight McLaughlin last year, people were wondering if he's going to start, because of the fastball stuff, just kind of like this. And he started 13 games last year. So I don't have any doubt that McLaughlin is going to end up being one of the starting cornerbacks for this team. the question about cornerback is mainly, is it going to be Keon Stewart? Is it going to be Snacks Johnson? Is it going to be Jaheim Singletary at the other spot? I kind of think eventually, I just think it makes the most sense. Singletary is just ultra talented, and Snacks is really good too. But I think he makes the most sense in that nickel spot. Just kind of the mentality that he has, and just how he kind of carries himself out there. He just seems like he'd be a good fit for that spot to me.
All right, Trey, this from our Asher Record Service Company live feed feedback from Savage. Says, ask Trey, who is the Hornsby or Hammonds player on this team this year? I guess that means high praise, high expectations,
low
and
output.
then, low output.
Yeah. Oh, that's a tough one to put on somebody right out of the gate. Let's see. I might have to think about that one a little bit, but who's getting overhyped? I don't know.
Well, I've got an easier one for you. This one kind of goes back to give you a chance to think about that one. But this goes back to the offensive line you were talking about a moment ago. I got this by way of email from Robert. Says, Trey, if Latham and Limmer were part of last year's short yardage problems, why should we expect them and this new look O-line to be better this year? Also, Tykeist Crawford is a senior, yet he has a sophomore starting ahead of him. Why? Has he not lived up to his potential, or was he overrated coming out of high school?
Yeah, I think maybe, when you look at Tykeist Crawford physically, he looks exactly like you're supposed to look as an offensive lineman. And he's still battling, but I think it's just there's other guys better than him. I wouldn't think it's like it's something personal or anything like that. I think there's just guys that they feel more confident in. That's pretty much the bottom line. He asked a bunch of questions, Randy. I'm not sure what all he was asking, but
well, about the offensive line in particular, meaning Limmer, Latham.
They were part of the problem last year. Why this year?
Right.
Well, the year before that, they were part of a solution. They were part of an offensive line that was, pretty solid. They led FBS in rushing that year. But I think that for the offensive line, they were pretty solid in most aspects last year, except for when they got in short yardage and goal line. And from what I can ascertain, a lot of that's problems with, strength staff. At least it's been pinned on the strength staff. I've been covering Arkansas football for 20 years. I've never seen a coach fire a strength coach. Never. Going back to Don Decker, Jason Veltkamp, all of them, every single one of them, Ben Herbert, they've all been through the entire lifespan of the coach there. So that tells you, and it's like immediately after the Missouri game, like fires the whole staff, nutrition staff, everything. And it's after a 2-point loss where they struggled in short yardage. So I know they spent a lot of extra time in the weight room. Bo Limmer's squat numbers are up 50 pounds, and they say he could do more than that. But yeah, I don't think that, it's hard to question Sam Pittman saying these are the best offensive linemen that we have, with Limmer and Latham being part of that.
Let's see this from.
Hey, they may still have some problems like that short yardage stuff. They may still have those problems. They just may not have anybody that's a better option also.
This from our Asher Record Service Company live feed feedback. Navy Mike says, find up on Navy Mike's thoughtful questions. What wide receiver will step up since we don't have any wide receivers? And what will the Hogs do this year at quarterback since KJ is leaving next year?
Well, I think they feel good about Jacoby Criswell as a possibility for the future. I know they feel a lot better that if something were to happen to KJ, that they still have a chance. And I don't know if they necessarily felt that way, but I think they feel that way now that they maybe just didn't have a chance against Mississippi State and couldn't move the ball against LSU at home. You had a chance in that one, just couldn't move the ball. So I know they feel a lot better about the back. And with Jacoby throws the best ball on the team. He throws a consistently tight spiral with really good velocity, probably the strongest arm out of all of them. So I think they feel good there. As far as wide receiver, I kind of think, I don't know, coming out of the spring, I was thinking Isaac TeSlaa. After the first few practices, I kind of think maybe Andrew Armstrong. I could see Andrew Armstrong being a deep threat. And then Tyrone Broden makes some really nice plays. Tyrone Broden's one of the fastest guys on the team, one of the 3 fastest. So there's a lot of potential there. And I love what I've been seeing out of Isaiah Satania. I think that, every day in practice, they start out doing 2-on-2 slot cover, and it's just one screen pass after another, and then there's the option to throw to another guy, but it's just like screen, 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 screen. We're going to see them throw to Satania, Bryce Stevens, but I think it's going to be Satania quite a bit this year. So I think they've got some good options at wide receiver, and KJ's throwing the ball really well too. He's always thrown a good deep ball, but he's thrown some deep balls that have just been absolutely perfect. I don't know. I kind of think Andrew Armstrong maybe is a deep guy with Tyrone Broden, and then maybe the guy that has the most catches, I could see it being Isaac TeSlaa.
Speed standpoint, who's faster then, Broden or Satania?
Broden, I believe, based on what I've heard, the fastest guy on the team is actually Malik Chavis.
What?
Yeah. He is one of 5 players to run, over 22 miles an hour, not pads, not like the NFL does. The NFL does pads in their game day stuff. But he's a 40-inch vertical leap guy too. He's the best leaper and the best, and has the most speed out of anybody. That doesn't always translate to being a great football player. There have been guys that have come through that, there's a wide receiver under Petrino that was a 10-300 guy that couldn't get on the field, so that doesn't always translate to being, great at football. And Chavis has had some issues here and there with injuries and things, and he started some games for Arkansas, but yeah, he's potentially the fastest and the best leaper. And then after him, probably AJ Green, and then after him, probably Tyrone Broden, and then probably Satania, and who's the other guy? One other that I'm leaving out.
Armstrong's pretty quick, isn't he?
It might be Armstrong. He might have been the other one. I think Armstrong was the other. Armstrong's a really good lead. TeSlaa, when you look at him, TeSlaa's a 38-inch vertical, and he's not in that elite group up at the top, but he's high 21s, according to Ben Souders, miles per hour. He's him and Armstrong have the 2 longest broad jumps on the team also. So, they've got some athletes at wide receiver.
I think size among the receiving core.
Yeah.
Maybe this may be as big of a receiving core ever. Now the player that I keep reading about that is just, wowing people, Luke Haas.
Oh yeah, Has.
I always want to say Haas.
I know it's HASZ. It's a tough one. But Luke is definitely, it's impressive to me how Luke Has and Varkey's Gums are both listed at 6'3", 242. And Gums might wear a shorter pant leg or something, he might have a little bit more torso, but they are almost identical in their build. And Gums probably got a little bit bigger bicep, I'm just watching them stand next to each other. That's kind of the things I do, like to, see if some guy's actually 6 foot, or if, how he compares to another player, maybe a guy that we're familiar with. But those two guys are so similar. I've obviously seen bigger tight end rooms at Arkansas. It's a big team, and I've seen bigger tight end rooms for sure. But I am intrigued with what those guys are able to do as far as receiving the ball. They're both very fluid, and we have not seen the 2 tight set yet. I'm sure they've possibly done that when practice is closed to the media. They've possibly gotten out and done that, but I've not seen them do a 2 tight set. I haven't seen them do 2 running backs. It has been almost 100% of the time 11 personnel, running back, tight end, 3 wide receivers.
6'3", 242. That's what Luke
Yep.
is listed on
Gums.
the roster. And I
Gums
think
the same.
Gums is almost identical, isn't he?
He is identical.
Okay.
I mean, they're size-wise, they're twins. Absolutely. I mean, they both like. I mean, they stand next to each other. Their proportions are pretty much the same.
Let's see. This from our Southern Structural Solutions bus text line. Artist Savage mean who is the speedy guy of the offense? I think we kind of.
Yeah, Broden, Andrew Armstrong. Andrew Armstrong's going to get a lot of deep balls. I'll tell you who else too. Sam Bakke has made some plays. I mean, he beat Singletary the other day on a post pattern, and KJ laid it in there perfectly. But the thing is, everybody else around the SEC has had the opportunity to improve their roster. Auburn added 22 players. Ole Miss added 27. It's a different age in college football. So just because it's one of the best looking rosters I've seen at Arkansas, maybe the best, everybody else's roster is better too.
That's true. That is true. Trey, talk to you tomorrow.
And if you're listening to the number one call-in show, sports call-in show in Arkansas, you ought to think about one of the best places to eat in Arkansas, and that's Tacos for Life. Tacos for Life has an arrangement to where every time you buy a meal, they furnish a meal through their nonprofit that can go anywhere in the world. And do you know that in slightly less than 10 years, they have furnished over 30 million meals, over 30 million meals for people all around the world. That's pretty amazing. Now, how does that happen? You buy a meal, they furnish a meal. Pretty interesting, isn't it? Now, the meal you buy and enjoy is going to be fantastic. Whether you get one of their tacos, whether you get one of their bowls, whether you get a salad, whether you get the quesadilla, whatever you get, you're going to enjoy thoroughly. And then when you eat it, you can be thinking about helping somebody else at the same time. Great concept, isn't it? Great food, great help for others. That's why you should enjoy Tacos for Life.
That's Rick Schaffer along with Ray Tucker. I'm Randy Rainwater. We are now joined by the head coach of the Ouachita Tigers, none other than Todd Knight. Todd, good afternoon.
What's going on, guys? Y'all doing okay?
Man, it is football season. We cannot, it couldn't have gotten here quick enough.
I know. It's time to go, though.
Now, hard to believe this is your 26th year at Ouachita.
What?
26 years.
Yeah, it seems like it's just flown by, really. I mean, it seems like just the other day, I mean, we get here and, time flies. And, what they say, time flies when you're having fun. We've had a great time, and it's been fun to be a part of the program here and a part of the school, and a great place to recruit to and a great place to coach.
Todd, would you say last year was as challenging as any season that you may have had to play through, with the loss of the young man Clark Yarborough, dedicating the season to that? You were trying to bounce back from the disappointment of 21, having your Great American Conference winning streak broken, missing the playoffs. But as important, if not the greatest, was losing Clark. But the guys really rallied and used that as a cause, and ended up with the great season. I know you had to endure the opening round of the playoffs. That wasn't the best result that you were looking for. But was that as challenging last year as any season you've ever had as a head coach?
Well, when you look back on things like this, you know that things happen for a reason. You know God's in control, and at the time that things like this happen, really it's hard to even know what to do or what to say. It makes football seem like it's, why are we even doing this?
Sure.
And, I get a call from one of the mothers on the team, like 3 or 4 days after Clark had passed. And, she calls and says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm just sitting here at my desk trying to figure it out." She said, "Well, I can tell you this. Get those kids busy, get going." And I felt like it was a direct message from God, and that's what we did. We got busy and got going, and realized that you can't take a minute, you can't take a play, you can't take a day, you can't take anything off. You've got to dedicate it and go hard and be thankful that you get another chance. And I really think that's the mentality that our kids took on, and they just did a great job. And in memory of Clark, and this too, Randy. I mean, you can't play a football game or a football year just for revenge or for somebody. It has to mean something to you down in your heart. And I think our guys rallied the right way, and they played really good ball. We had some good breaks. We didn't have many injuries. Once we got through that first one, we didn't have many injuries last year, and that always helps you get through. And just we really had a great year, and we learned a lot about ourselves too. And me as a coach, I find myself telling them I love them a lot more than I did, last year. I've always loved them, but when you lose one and you realize that not a day goes by that you don't need to tell them that. And it's just been, it's been rewarding to go through it, and of course the year was rewarding as well.
Todd, is this a high number? It sounds like a high number to me, but you will have what appears to be, at least on paper, a very experienced team coming back with over 50 lettermen returning. Is that a great number?
Well, we do have a lot of guys coming back, and we're really a sophomore junior football team. We don't have many seniors, but we lost, 6 offensive linemen. A lot of those guys, several of those guys had been here 6 years because of COVID. We lost an All-American running back, and we lost, an All-American defensive end. We lost some key players, but we've got a lot of players that are ready to step up and had some playing experience last year because of that. You talked about Letterman; those guys got a chance to play a lot of football. So, I think we're set in a good situation. We got to stay healthy, and we know there's a lot of great teams in the league. And really, Randy, gets right down to it. You're only as good as your last practice. It really doesn't matter what you did last year. It's all about what we did today and what we're going to do tomorrow. And I think our guys realize that and have that mentality as they go to work every day.
Well, Todd, it really just depends upon maybe who you're talking to or what poll that you're looking at. But the most recent poll that I've had a chance to see was the coaches poll, and it's about as close as you can cut it. They've got Washita at the number 1 spot, preseason number 1, 116 votes. Harding just three points difference, 113. And then there's Henderson State with 99. So obviously the strength of the league sets right there in Arkadelphia and then in Searcy as the top 4 teams in the preseason poll, all from the state of Arkansas. So that says volumes right there. You do have your starting quarterback returning, Riley Harms. That has to be a nice beginning point on offense to have your quarterback return. But then you've also got a great young man who kind of paid his dues last year. You were talking about the All-American that you lost, and that was TJ Coe. But I sure like Kendall Givens. That's a quality player to step into that number 1 running back spot.
Yeah, when you talk about those 2 positions, quarterback and running back, we've got a ton of depth. Starting at quarterback, Riley's back as the starter. Eli Livingston will see a lot of in-game action as well. Batesville kids that is really a good player. And then behind Kendall, you've got Isaac Edwards and several other great backs as well. So, Kendall and Riley lead the way, and there's no letdown there at all. You're right. I mean, Kendall Givens is as good as anybody in the country at this level, and is a really good football player and a great leader. So, on offense, when you start with those 2 guys, it means a whole lot. And then, of course, out wide with Connor Flanagan and Camontre McKnight, you got a Fayetteville and Warren kid right there, two really good players outside as well. And Zach Henson at tackle and Nate Turner. We've got two old guys right there that'll be in there at center and tackle that we're excited about as well. So we've got spots of experience, and then we'll have some young guys in there as well.
The top returner at the special teams position, that is punter, is from Australia, Joe Couch. How did you get a player from Australia?
Well, Pro Kick Australia does a great job. They probably got 20 or 30 kids playing mainly Division I and some Division II schools. But those guys are all over the country. And again, they're represented by Pro Kick Australia, and they just do a super job. And Joe was really the second Australian we had. We had Jake Ford. He ended up going to the Canadian League and had a great career here. And now Joe's poised, and Joe's got a chance to possibly get drafted, be an NFL pick. He's a great player, so we're excited about him and his future too. But very excited about all our specialists. Gabe Goodman, our kicker from Arkadelphia, and of course Dax Jaggers as well. We've got a lot of depth at those 2 positions as well.
That's cool. All right, is the strength of the Tigers this season going to be on the defensive side of the ball with 10 returning starters back on defense?
Well, we've got a lot of experience on defense, and we lost. Really, it's 9 returning starters, but we've lost a couple guys there. But still, to have 9 returning starters on a defense that finished like our defense did last year is exceptional. We take a lot of pride in being a 3-phase team. We know we can't win it with 1 phase, so we know we've got to be able to be great on special teams. We've got to hang on to the football on offense and do a great job there too. And then we've got to play great defense. I think if you look at us over the years, there's a lot of years we've won the league where we're not number one, maybe in offense or defense, but we're in that top 2 or 3 in every category. And if you do that, you got a chance to be a 3-phase team and have a chance to win a lot of football games.
That defense, you've always played great defense. It seems like at Washita year in, year out. And I know that has to give you a little bit of comfort knowing that you've got 10 starters back, or 9, whichever it may be. But to be able to return back for the defense. Todd, you've been doing this, as we mentioned, a long, long time. But what is the secret there at Washita?
Well, I think first, it's retention. You retain really good coaches and you retain good players. And, we're not a big portal team or transfer team. I think we've got 125 out. We've probably got eight or 9 transfers on the team. So, I think our secret is trying to grow them up. They're here, 3, 4, 5 years. I think that's part of it. We have great coaches that surround me. And then, naturally, we got a great school to recruit to. And I think when you put all that together, it's kind of like a 3-phase team. It's kind of a 3-phase deal as well, with the recruiting, the type school we are, and the type kids that we get. And everybody uses the word culture and brotherhood and all those kind of things on their football team. But I would tell you this, if I was recruiting you, Randy, the 2 things I would talk to you about after I got through with academics, I would be talking to you about the caliber of kids we have and the caliber of coaches we have. And this game is relational. You want to be around good people that care about academics and care about being great in football. And I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by players and coaches that are like that.
Well, one of the things that I believe is part of that magic, part of that foundation, is the fact that it's easy to look at your roster and see that a lot of those kids are from the state of Arkansas. I just feel like when you got Arkansas kids on your roster, it means more to those kids.
Well, I think so. And I mean, Arkansas is our base. I'm a Star City guy, as you know, and Brett Shockley, our recruiting coordinators from Conway, and we're going to recruit the state first. And I think if you took our roster, it was like this last year. I hadn't looked at it close this year, but I think last year 68% of the roster were Arkansas high school football players, and the 2 deep had like 30-something of the 2 deep, were Arkansas high school players, and that has a lot to do with our success.
I love it. All right, Todd, continued success, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk later on during the season. Thank you, Todd.
You bet. Good to talk to you guys.
You bet. Todd Knight, head football coach of Washita University. Drive Time Sports will continue. Drive Time Sports in the Buzz Radio Network. Rick Schaffer, Ray Tucker. I'm Randy Rainwater. Double B's has always been where you gas it, grab it, and go. I must tell you, okay, I realize we enjoyed just a little bit of a cool down earlier today, but now it's back out hot, muggy. You got to continue to hydrate. That's why you've got to step inside the Double B's and take advantage of the August promotions. And as always, they have some great monthly specials. In this case, the 1 liter brisk tea, 2 for $3. That's $1.50 for a liter of brisk tea. 30-ounce core water, just $2. I have become a big fan of the 30-ounce core water. 28-ounce Gatorade, 2 for $4.50. And Raymond's favorite area, he brings back all these kind of goodies, is the assorted Little Debbie items. 3 for $2. 3 for $2. Now, if I do my math correctly, that's like 60 cents each. So you're not going to find any better deals than what you'll find at your local Double B's, now with 34 locations. And also, don't forget to ask your Double B's cashiers about signing up for a rewards card where you can save money on purchases at all stores. It's Double B's. It's where you gas it, grab it, and go. Make it Double B's. Well, let's see here. I need to do a little bit of catching up on some of our Asher Record Service Company. Let's see. This from our Asher Record Service Company live feed feedback. Mark says, my poem for this season. Guys, in honor of this season getting started, I've written this poem. Hope you like it. All hope is lost. All hope is gone. As the day is long and as Rick is wrong. Our offensive line is new and tall. It should be O-U-R, not A-R-E. Our wide receivers are weak and small. Who are you looking at? Our defensive secondary makes me sneeze. Man, how's that happen? SEC wide receivers will make them look like Swiss cheese. So our season's hope should be summarized by this right here. Arkansas fans, abandon all hope. Ye who enter here, snugly, wiggly, piggly, all hope is gone.
Dancing Donkey's back.
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah, because even Mike doesn't talk like that. So,
so he used the word "our" in there a few times. Our, I doesn't sound like it's his team.
No,
well, either that or he's not playing.
Well, he's not playing, but still,
no,
he's not playing on full deck either.
Yeah, why is it that there are some people that delight in trying to stem optimism? Why is that? What purpose does it serve? To make you feel better? Because you're trying to drench somebody's hopes? Why is that?
I don't know if it's also believing they can get a rise out of people, whether they're looking to stir the stick, as the old saying goes.
Maybe.
Stir the pot.
Well,
stir the pot, yeah. Stir the stick. Well, you got to stir the stick to stir the pot.
And does that give you delight to do that?
I don't know.
I guess for some, huh?
No. And, it's like, can we argue about something? Well, what do you want to argue about? Savage says, where is Paul Petrino coaching now? And is he with his brother at Texas A&M? He is not at Texas A&M, but I don't know where Paul Petrino is. He was,
find out.
Wasn't it like Montana State or Idaho State or something like that,
in Idaho,
where he was the head coach?
Yeah, but he
I think he got fired from
he's not
there.
there anymore. That's right.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find out real quick. But you know what's interesting? I thought Tyler Wilson had great input on Paul Petrino, who was still on Arkansas staff. I had forgotten that for John L. Smith after Bobby
Yeah, he
Petrino
was the
fired.
offensive coordinator. Yeah.
And his point was it didn't matter how bad they were getting beat. They were going to put up offensive numbers that were going to help him get another job.
I remember that. Yeah.
So good luck, Tyler, while you're being beat to a pulp. Put up some good numbers for you so you can get Paul Petrino another job.
How funny. Well, poor old Tyler. I mean, he went through some great experiences at the University of Arkansas. To say that you play for Bobby Petrino and then you play for John L. Smith,
Yeah,
not many can say that.
no, and he probably smiles while he says it. Paul
Was,
Petrino is the offensive coordinator at Central Michigan University. He's in his second year in that position. He was fired after the 2021 season after 9 years as head coach at the University of Idaho. 34-66.
Just Idaho,
record.
not Idaho State. Just Idaho.
That's right. University of
Okay.
Idaho. Right.
All right. Here is the Baltimore Oriole fanatic,
Well, good.
JD
Yeah.
Boss Hog. Ray, let's go take a nap real quick while Rick and JD
They
Boss Hog,
Swept the Mets over the weekend.
while they sing and dance and
2-0, wasn't it, Rick?
Pardon me? 2-0 yesterday. Yeah, but they won all 3 games. That was nice. And they saluted the
especially those 2-0
1983 World Series champion. And they saluted the 1983 World Series champions, which unfortunately is the last time they won.
Aren't you loving this, Rick? And Randy, I know you're hating it, but I mean, this team is. By the way, I went and made that bet too, that double Baltimore bet parlay, and it looks like the Orioles may be really, really in the mix.
Well, I hope you're right, but
They're
I
getting
don't know.
better and better and better, and they have so much talent. What the Japanese pitcher in the 8th inning, Randy, the other night against the Mets, pitched a perfect inning. What do you think
There are
about
a lot of
that?
people that pitch perfect innings.
Wow, perfect inning.
You're
Gee.
talking about a
Crank up the
immaculate
band,
inning
Randy.
where they throw 9
that's
pitches
not-
and they're all
But
strikes.
that's
for
not even our
strikeouts.
best start. I mean, our best closer. So it just goes to show you how much talent they have.
Yeah.
If they get in there, they're gonna cause some damage, Randy. I'm just saying. Do you agree or disagree?
Well, if they're leading the 9th inning,
I don't know, but I'm
Felix
like
Bautista's
snoring
great.
Bob. I've taken. You put
Randy's
me to
taking a nap.
sleep.
Man's taking a nap.
Well, Ray, come on now, Mr. West Helena. Come on now. You know how good that team is. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at a baseball team to watch them and see how good they are. That team is legit.
We'll find out. They're playing the Astros this week. That's it. That's a good test for them. Astros
Hey,
are very
best
good.
play of the season is when that Yankee got too far off third base. Rick, I know you saw it. And who threw him down? Boom. The best catcher in the league.
Rushman's good. I like him.
All right, fellas. So let's talk about the Hogs now.
Okay.
Randy, I'm not sure, man.
Wake up, Randy.
People are saying we got the easiest schedule. Do you all
What?
agree with
Who
that?
said
Who
that?
said that?
Who said that?
I've heard from a few people. I mean, I think it's murder row.
I haven't heard anybody say it's an easy schedule.
Did you
That 4-game road stretch.
did you believe the person that told
I
you
mean, the
that?
only thing that I can say is soft about this schedule. I give it to the first part of it. Western Carolina, Kent State, don't know what to expect from BYU. And then later on November the 18th, Florida International. I don't get this. The West is the West of the SEC. It's always a gauntlet. But then when you have at LSU,
A&M.
A&M in Arlington, at Ole Miss in Oxford, at Tuscaloosa, taking on Alabama. What's easy about that?
Nothing. And it's crazy that the SEC puts us like that. You know what I mean? We can use that as a tool to recruit, but like the problem is that those teams are really, really good. And it's going to be, I think KJ may end up getting hurt after in between that murderous
Let's
row,
hope
like
not.
through,
Well, let's hope
in between Alabama. I mean, I'm just saying, if he can stay healthy, that's our. But if we lose him, who's our backup?
You have a Ouija.
Jacoby Criswell.
You have a Ouija board.
Thank you, JD. Number 3, straight ahead. Hour number 3 of Drive Time Sports here on the Buzz Radio Network. Rick Schaffer standing by in Northwest Arkansas. I'm Randy Rainwater from the capital city.
Ray Tucker on Drive Time Sports is brought to you by Gwatney Buick GMC.
And Raymond, what is happening tonight on Ray Tucker's Arkansas Outdoors?
Brian Hendricks will join me. And you caught me off guard there, Randy. I have to look at my phone to see who our guest is there. But
sorry about that, Raymond.
Anyway, I think it's John Sutton, who is a noted author and used to be the editor of an outdoor magazine. So we'll be talking about all kinds of things, particularly fishing tonight.
And you may be wondering where one Patrick Bradley is. He asked me about 3:45 if he could change to tomorrow night. So, for whatever reason, Patrick will join us tomorrow night, not tonight. So, I hate to disappoint people.
So we won't talk about the Celtics tonight?
No.
Okay.
This from our Southern Structural Solutions Buzz text line from the 870. Positivity always beats negativity. I'd rather be optimistic and have disappointment than be depressingly negative in hopes to feel good for beating expectations. Whew, that's a mouthful. But I think I understand that you'd rather be positive than negative. And
I think most people are like that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why the negative guys, maybe they do think that's goading, and it gets to people that are optimistic. But people that are optimistic shouldn't be bothered by people that are pessimistic. You just go right on. Don't worry about it.
So then why do most people get so irritated then at Navy Mike?
Well, we shouldn't. That's my point. I mean,
but have you not?
Sure.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
But I got to tell you, for the second he hangs up, doesn't bother me at all, and it shouldn't, because optimists should stay that way. Now, for some reason, pessimists try to irritate optimists. I don't know why, but pessimists are very irritated by optimists, and it seems like they don't handle optimism very well. And that's been my experience. Nothing's 100%. You can't say that that's for every person by any means, but there's something about pessimists that they don't like people being optimistic, and I don't know why that is. Just like the guy that wrote his wonderful poem about how disastrous this season's going to be. I think he doesn't like to hear people be optimistic, or people will call and say everybody's drinking the Kool-Aid. Randy, you and I have done this show. You and Ray go back further than I do. But this is, I think, my 22nd year football season with you. And it's the same every year. It doesn't matter how good or bad Arkansas is going to be. When August gets here, most people think they're going to be better than they thought they would be in April. It just, as you get closer, I think that's kind of a thing in the state of Arkansas. People are generally optimistic. And so you'll hear somebody will call our show in April and say, gosh, hope the Hogs can win 8 games. That same person will call in August and say, I think they can win 10 this year. It's something about getting closer to the season. On the other hand, the first loss sends pessimists almost into being giddy. It's like, I told you, can't be, they're not going to be any good.
Here we go again.
Well, guess what? The Razorbacks in 1909 and 1964 were undefeated. Other than that, they've never been undefeated. So should we expect them to be undefeated? No. But if they win 9 or 10 games, it's a heck of a year. So if they're going to win 9 or 10, that means they are probably going to lose 1 or 2 or 3.
Were you SID back then?
1909, no. No, not quite.
Well, when I was for Saracen, when I was doing my double R prop specials,
yeah.
Let's see. Okay, this is for KJ Jefferson, and I took a lot of different things into account, particularly numbers from last year, And I know, wasn't there 2 complete games, or was it 1 complete game and then 2 others? Or maybe it was 1 Mississippi State that he missed altogether, and then he played hurt against Liberty. But anyway, to make a long, just what I did is, as an example, this is my thoughts on KJ. Over 2,499 and a half yards passing. I'm saying he's going to go over basically 2,500 yards passing.
Yeah, if he stays healthy, he will, sure.
And then I had over basically 25 passing touchdowns. So if you
that's a lot. I think
that's a lot.
I think the 2,500 is more reachable than 25 touchdowns, because just think about, and that's all right. You said it as an over under, and it makes it so people bet both ways. But think about Arkansas's struggles on the goal line last year, and this year they want to make sure those struggles are gone. Meaning, I think at least early in the year they're going to try and run it in from the 2-yard line, and so if they get down inside the 5. He may get a touchdown pass, or he may get a few, but most of the times I think they're going to try and run it in. Don't you?
Yes, I do. But then when I think so much of Dan Enos' offense is also focused around the tight end position, where that 3-yard, 5-yard, 3rd and goal from the 3, or 3rd and goal from the 5, whatever it may be, I can see the tight end playing a big role, and that might help. That's saying he's going to average over 2 touchdowns every game.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot. I do understand that.
Got good running backs, and particularly when he runs sometimes on the goal line.
Now, here's another one that I thought is quite interesting.
Yeah.
This is KJ Jefferson rushing over 625 yards rushing.
Okay, well,
now hold on, Rick. Okay. He had almost 800 until you subtracted out yards lost.
Yeah. Well, the question there is, with Enos as the offensive coordinator, is Jefferson going to run less?
That's the question.
Don't know the answer. That's
Do not know the answer.
20. Yeah. Okay.
So I could not, in good conscience, on the other hand, say 499 yards.
No.
Well, but I didn't feel good enough to say, he's going to get over 750 yards.
Well, the way betting works is you have to try and put it where people bet both sides.
Exactly.
Rick, we're talking to the big dog here, Randy Rainwater. I just went to my Bet Saracen app and I pull it up. Double R's prop bets, and here they are. Man, you are big time. I'm gonna have to get you a crown to wear when I come in here. I'll call you the king.
These are so much fun to do. I spend a lot of time working on them, but they are really fun to do. So anyway, hope y'all enjoyed out there. Let's talk to Victor. Victor, good afternoon. Welcome to Drive Time Sports.
Hey, Phil's up for taking my call. Hey, you were talking a while ago about praying about all the other teams were getting better, all the picks they got off of, transfers coming in. But, if you look at Alabama, Georgia, LSU, they've had all those good players all these years. And Arkansas, compared to what they had before, have upgraded a whole lot. They may not be, compared with them yet, but they definitely got a better shot now than they would have had 3 or 4 years ago because of the upgrading the players that they do have from the portal and from the recruiting. That looks to me like that'd be the case anyway.
I think you're exactly right. And you think about the fact that last year Arkansas got 2 previously 5-star talents in the transfer portal. How many 5-stars have they signed lately? Not many, if any. So they got 2 through the transfer portal. And that's what happens is these guys that are 5-stars go into the transfer portal. And if you can get them, you didn't get them out of high school. I take it that Singletary, is that his name, the defensive back that came from Georgia?
Yes.
Okay. Earlier in the program, Trey Biddy is saying that guy is such a talent that he might play safety, might play what we used to call rover, might play cornerback or nickelback, or whichever. He can play any of those because he's so talented. He is so talented at Arkansas, but Arkansas couldn't get him out of high school, but they got him out of the transfer portal, probably a 4-star, not a 5-star, but a player at Georgia, and he instantly appears to make Arkansas secondary better than it was last year on talent alone. So, yes, I think the transfer portal – look at Arkansas's defensive line. My gosh, the transfer portal has certainly solidified that area of the team.
I don't know if we lost Victor or not. I don't hear in the background. Well, I did this when I was talking. I think we talked with Trey about this Friday, maybe. But when you start looking, and I realize what Trey said, okay, what I'm seeing on paper when they write it down, this is coming from the fastball, what they call the fastball beginning. The first team, second team, third team, they'll run 4 plays, and it's to get the blood going and so forth and so on. Nevertheless, it still gives you a little bit of a basis for what you can kind of expect. On the other hand, possibly what's going to be your starters, whether it be on offense or defense.
Fastball's 11 on 11, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And when I was looking at this first, I can't remember what, I think this is from this past Friday. Isaac Tesla, he is transfer portal. And you have Joshua Braun, transfer portal. Braun, the offensive lineman from Florida. But then when you go to the defense at linebacker, Antonio Greer, which is Central Florida or South Florida, I'm not sure. Well, we forget Dwight McLaughlin came by way of the transfer portal.
Yeah.
And then Snacks Johnson. Now, this was the first team defense. So you had 1, 2, 3 of the starting 11 from the transfer portal. Then you go second team offense. Jacoby Criswell, North Carolina transfer portal. Tyrone Broden, transfer portal. Andrew Armstrong, transfer portal. So three of those, make it 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 came from the transfer portal. Then second team defense, Trajan Jeffcoat. I think he came from Maryland, if I remember correctly. I know Booker did. So there's 2 there. The hog or nickelback, AJ Brathwaite. He came from Western Kentucky. Al Walcott came from Baylor. So on the second team defense, 4 of the 11 came out of the transfer portal. So, yeah, what the transfer portal has done, it's allowed schools like Arkansas close a little bit of that gap between the talent that they've not only gotten themselves from the transfer portal, but also have gotten by way of high school recruiting, and that is Alabama, Georgia, LSU, and so forth. Now, has it totally closed the gap? I don't know. Do you realize Ole Miss will have 40 who came in, 40, who came in through the transfer portal, grad transfers, and so forth. 40.
Yeah, 40. That's amazing, isn't it? That means they lost a bunch.
They lost a bunch.
About Arkansas losing a bunch. So did Ole Miss.
Yeah, they turned them over just like Arkansas did.
Yeah.
So, yes, Victor, the transfer portal has allowed the Ole Misses, the Mississippi States, the Arkansas close a little bit of that gap between the top end. Now, who's been hit the hardest out of their high school class was A&M. I bet they lost over half of that number 1 recruiting class from.
Oh, did they? They lost that many?
They lost a bunch.
Wow.
I mean, if you're signing 20, they lost at least 10 into the transfer portal. This from our Asher Record Service Company live fan feedback. Hamhock says, how many SEC programs will command spots in the expanded college football playoff now that the Pac-12 has essentially been dissolved? My guess is roughly
maybe 4.
half of the 12
Oh, you think 6?
will represent the Southeastern Conference.
You really think so? 6?
Well, as much as the SEC may could take advantage, just think about the latest additions to the Big Ten. You're bringing in Southern Cal, you're bringing in UCLA, and now Oregon and Washington. And believe it or not, Oregon and Washington have already played in a national championship game when there was only 4 teams.
Yeah.
Neither one
Washington
won.
played in the game. They played in the semifinals. I don't think they made the finals. Oregon did against Auburn. Did Washington? I don't think they played for the championship.
I thought Washington played for it. Maybe not.
I think they got in one year, but I don't think they played for the championship.
So this is the last year, I guess, for the Rose
But
Bowl.
nonetheless, they're good. Last year for what?
Rose Bowl.
I got to believe.
As we know it, yeah.
I got to believe they will hang on to the Big Ten.
No.
No?
That's over. And they'll go right into the playoff system. And this year, the Rose Bowl is one of the semifinalists.
Okay.
So
thank you.
They will not have the Big Ten in the Pac-12 because they are one of the semifinalists for the 4 teams. It's still a 4-team playoff this year.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yes. I'm just saying, I can see possibly trying to hang on though in the future when it's not one of the playoff bowls semifinalists, that they could still have a Big Ten versus who? Big 12?
Or else they
But
could
you
have the
lose
Big
your
10
local
versus a former Pac-12 Big Ten.
But you lose your regional appeal to the team that's going to represent the Pac-12 in the Rose Bowl opposite the Big Ten.
Right. But I got to believe, just like when somebody else, was it Georgia played Alabama there one year in a semifinal game? Game was sold out. It was packed. How many fans of big-time teams have never been to the Rose Bowl? They're not going to hurt for selling tickets. They'll still sell the thing out because people want to go there. They've never been.
Then that also means corporate America must have stepped up.
Well, probably, but there were a lot of Georgia and Oklahoma fans there at that game. A lot.
Let's see. This from our Southern Structural Solutions Buzz text line from the 870. Making predictions or wishing upon the stars. KJ and Rocket and RB, the running back brothers. They are the intangibles that may be what makes the offense travel. But I still think these defensive coaches will gel and play as a tight team with talent.
I got to believe the coaching on defense combined with some upgrades of talent. Is this going to be the most talented defensive team in America or the SEC? No. But their talent is upgraded, and some of the talent that's here gained experience last year, and they'll be better. I think having new staff in there on defense, everybody except the line coach, who evidently is a really good coach, I think will make a major difference. Don't you?
From those that I have talked to that know, well, as an example, Chris Kane is a huge Central Florida fan. That's where Coach Williams, the new DC,
right,
came from. And he is saying he is going to gamble, but he's also going to make quick adjustments, not wait until halftime, and that Arkansas fans will like his style of play when it's all said and done. And hopefully that means results. I mean, how many jokes can we say? How much lower can this defense go?
Well, in pass defense, they can't go any lower.
Yeah, exactly.
And they got a secondary coach from Florida State, and they were top 10 in
Mhm.
pass defense last year. So, yeah, I think it makes a difference.
But it makes a difference also having better talent.
That's right.
An upgrade.
Transfer portal was a big deal for their talent upgrade on defense.
Because if you look at where outside of the wide receiver position and Chris Well at quarterback, but it seemed like the majority of the upgrades through the transfer portal were on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah.
Particularly the guys in the trenches.
Yeah.
And there's some big men that's going to be anchoring those defensive tackles. And as Trey Beatty was saying earlier, 270, 280-pound defensive ends. When's the last time you've seen that?
In Arkansas.
Been a while.
Arkansas.
All right, Drive Time Sports will continue in just one moment. Welcome back to Drive Time Sports here on the Buzz Radio Network. Rick Schaffer, Ray Tucker. I'm Randy Rainwater. Thank you, Mickey. Thank you, Hennard Foothills Equipment. Makes my job so easy when you have the right equipment. Now, at Hennard's, you're going to find all types of equipment for all types of applications. In fact, Kubota offers a full line of residential and commercial mowers with gasoline engines or diesel engines. And they also offer the Spartan zero-turn mowers. Now, what's neat about Spartan, they are manufactured right here in Arkansas in Batesville. And they lead the industry with comfort and toughness. They also have the Bobcat zero-turn mowers. Now, I have an electric mower. Never thought I would have an electric mower. Actually, it works by battery. And it is simple. I mean, there's no pulling of the crank. There is no bending your back and all this other stuff. I just push a little bitty button, pull the handle back. Boom, there we go. And then I've got the weed eater that's basically lighter than a feather. Combine that with the blower that's lighter than a feather. It makes my job so simple. Make it simple for yourselves. Go see Mickey and the gang. They're at Hennard Foothills Equipment in Searcy. They service what they sell. And they have an unmatched reputation for service after the sale. That's Hennard's 268-1987-501, 268-1987, 1920 South Main Street in Searcy. Hennard Foothills Equipment, your hometown dealer, no matter where you live.
Randy, you asked me a second ago about Ray Tucker's Arkansas Outdoors tonight. Our guest is Keith Sutton. He's a former editor of the Arkansas Wildlife, author of many books, one of the most prolific freelance writers in the country, and he specializes in a myriad of oddball topics. We can talk catfish, crappie, all that good stuff. I think I said John Sutton. Wasn't he a big tackle in Arkansas?
Johnson?
No, John Sutton.
Oh, John Sutton, yeah. Yes, there was.
Instead of Keith, I said John a while ago.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you did. I thought that's kind of coincidental, but I thought, okay. Another guy just has the same first name and last name as the former Razorback, John Sutton. I want to applaud last Monday night show when you had the coach in, Joe Foley, listening to his trip that he took up in Montana. That was pretty special. That was an excellent show.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Let's see. Where am I concerning all this? Okay. This from our Southern Structural Solutions Buzz text line. It says, poem guy, Navy Mike equals pessimist equals fun sucker. Jeff equals optimist equals optimistically thinking 9 wins. Fun haver equals fun haver. Don't be a fun sucker. Be a Jeff. Thanks, guys. That from Jeff in Monticello.
A fun sucker. That's a good one. Yeah.
Don't know that is that really a thing?
I don't know. That's a good term. That or joy stealer. I've heard that one before.
Sounds like a bird in the Pac-10, Pac-12 conference. Can you imagine being a football fan out on the West Coast and all this unfolds in like in 10 days? Or
even if your team got into another league, you got to be thinking, okay, I'm a Utah season ticket holder. I'm going to go to West Virginia. If I want to make a road trip, I'm going to go to West Virginia. Let's see, where is West Virginia? You're probably thinking that. And same thing in Oregon. Okay, Oregon.
Oh, I can't wait to go to Rutgers.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you think of Penn State's being a big deal, but how about going to Minnesota in November?
Yeah.
That'll be fun, won't it?
When they can't land the planes because of snow and ice on the runway.
And UCLA and USC, where they all wish they could be California girls, wish they could all be California girls. Now they're going to go play Michigan and Ohio State in the snow. Won't that be fun?
The Conference of Champions.
That's what the Pac-12 called itself.
Yeah. And there's people are still saying that. I'm like, you might want to think twice before you say that.
Well, they got one more year of it.
Oh, I know that, but still.
Well, Cal is holding their Board of Regents, California. They're meeting tonight.
Really?
I don't know if Stanford is meeting at the same time to determine the next step they take. I think it was either Washington State or Oregon State. One of the athletic directors made a statement over the weekend that, as this began to play itself out, they have already, I guess you can say, if it was Oregon State, because they won 10 games last year. And they were really fired up for this year and expectations for this upcoming season. But they said, the athletic director said, well, we've already started looking now at alternative plans. So is that AAC? Is that Mountain West? I just don't see, again, being an independent can't survive.
No, you can't.
Because you can't get any kind of TV rights. No one is going to pay Oregon State or Washington State, NBC, or no one is going to buy their rights to air their games. So
I think Washington State said that they'd have a announcement of some kind on Thursday.
Thursday,
and
it
might just that's Washington State. Then it might just be here's where we are and we're looking. I mean, who knows what they're going to say. So yeah, it's a tough spot for them. Now, this is a really unique thing. When Oklahoma and Texas are leaving the Big 12, they made that announcement before last season. Guess who did not win the Big 12 football championship? Neither Oklahoma nor Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And guess who was delighted to beat them? Everybody in the league. In the Pac-12's instance, more teams are leaving than are staying. So, in fact, counting USC and UCLA now, there's 8 schools leaving. We're looking at this rash of 6. You tend to forget UCLA and USC are still there this year.
Sure.
So
one more year.
There are 12 teams in the Pac-12 right now. It is a Pac-12. But 8 of them are leaving. So if you're a Washington State fan or you're an Oregon State fan, does it give you pleasure to beat them because so many of them are leaving? Hey, when Arkansas announced they were leaving the SEC, or leaving the Southwest Conference, that was before the 1990 season. I'm telling you, those Texas schools, when they got Arkansas down, because Arkansas wasn't very good, they kept it. I remember the Houston game; they're still throwing. I think they scored 63 points, and they're still throwing in the deep passes in the fourth quarter. They're making a statement. You guys left, we're going to bury you. And but that was one school leaving. What do you do when 8 schools leave?
And the other 4
and you're not capable of running up the score.
Exactly. And those other 4 are not really capable. You know what? Of everything that has been said that the Pac-12 did wrong, this to me is the most unbelievable, and thank you, Rick, unbelievable aspect of all this. There was and is no penalty for leaving the conference. 0.
Well, that's because their TV rights
expire next year.
Yeah, and so that's why they took advantage of doing it.
Yeah,
and of course, once USC, if the Pac-12 had been trying to negotiate a TV package for the 2 or 3 years before that, but so remember, before last season, they still had 2 years left on their package. Between 2 and 3 years left is usually when you renegotiate or you've got something else going. But while they're negotiating a TV package, their 2 Los Angeles properties announced they're leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So how'd you like to be the lead negotiator for the Pac-12 even if you thought the other 10 were going to stay. Oops. Well, we just lost the second largest market in the United States. But we still want the same amount of money. Really? No, it doesn't work that way.
Randy, you got all kinds of contacts. You think you can get Bill Walton on the show so we can hear his take on all this?
Who?
Bill Walton.
Oh,
Oh.
no, thank you. I would be dizzy by the time he got the first 10 words out.
He loves that phrase, Conference of Champions, you
Woo!
know.
All right. The grand moment. The doors open at 10:30. War Memorial Stadium, second floor. And this will be the grand announcement of the Little Rock Touchdown Club lineup, speaker lineup. And I'm reading strictly from the email that was sent to me. Speaker lineup announcement, August the 8th. Most awesome lineup ever. Now that's strong. Ever.
The lineup Bass puts together is strong. Always.
Do you think he scheduled the Pac-12 commissioner before or after those schools?
That's the best one you've had in a while, Schaffer.
I can't even buzz that one. You know, sometimes the truth hurts. Wow, that's smart. No, I don't. I doubt he was on. He will be on this lineup, but if he was, he's a no-show. He can't. They can't even afford to pay for the flight for him to come out now. The announcement at 11 o'clock, and by the way, Justin and Wes will be there on behalf of the Zone. I assume they will carry the announcement right here on our. Well, you got to make it 11:06, David. You can't make the announcement till they come back out of the break. 11:06. Tailgate lunch. Well, it's not going to take long to make the announcement, apparently, from 11 to 11:15 because the tailgate lunch starts at 11:15. So, I guess, what, 12, 13? Is that what it is? Guest each and every year? Something like that. All right, when we come back, Jason, hang tight. You're first up. Rick Schaffer, Ray Tucker. I'm Randy Rainwater. Drive Time Sports will continue. Drive Time Sports on the Buzz Radio Network. Rick Schaffer, Ray Tucker. I'm Randy Rainwater. Don't forget, coming up in moments, Ray Tucker, Arkansas Outdoors. So stay tuned. That coming up shortly. Let's talk to Jason. Jason, good afternoon. Welcome to Drive Time Sports.
Thank you, gentlemen. I just got a question and a thought. Maybe. Do you guys think that after the expansion with Texas and Oklahoma that the SEC is finished expanded, or do you guys think that we could see, over the next few years, the likes of Oklahoma State jumping ship, North Carolina, Clemson, Florida State, some of those other guys that are in the area? Do you guys think eventually that's going to happen?
I don't think it'll be anybody from the Big 12. And it all depends on if Florida State has any success in exiting from the ACC. If Florida State can't get out of the SEC, then you can't get any ACC schools. So, but I think the SEC is pretty content with 16 teams.
I think they will go in a heartbeat, either to 18 or 20.
Do you really?
But I totally agree with Rick, though, until they can get a financial settlement, because I can see where the SEC would reach out to Miami, Florida State, but they want either Virginia, combine that with Duke and North Carolina, or they don't expand, because those are the jewels. But
the Big Ten wants those schools too. And here's
exactly.
the thing. Yeah, the ACC will have to unlock it. I don't know if they're going to do that. And so the other thing you have to remember is here's what the Big Ten's doing. With Oregon and Washington coming in, they get a half a share of the TV package. The SEC has signed this new amazing TV contract. They're not going to bring schools in and the money be the same. So one of two things would happen. They would give the schools coming in less money in the TV package, or they would want to renegotiate with ESPN, which has got its own problems right now, as people are cutting the cable, and they're looking at how they can do a streaming service within the next 2 or 3 years and hopefully regain some of the money they're losing with people cutting cable. So it's not as simple as cut and dried and saying, hey, these schools are available, let's go get them.
Yeah, no. Well, in Oregon and Washington will be accepting basically a prorated amount going into the Big Ten. And I've seen projections basically half.
It's not even half.
Not even half? Okay.
30 million, and everybody else is probably going to get somewhere between 65 and 70 million.
So when these things are happening, I mean, is it more the conferences reaching out to the schools, or the schools reaching out and saying, hey, we want in?
Well, I think Colorado and the Big 12, I think Colorado probably reached out to the Big 12, and the Big 12 was very open. But once Colorado jumped, then I think it was the schools after that. I think Arizona told the Big 12 we're interested. And once that started happening, I think Utah and Washington both told the Big 10, hey, why don't you come talk to us? And it happened so fast. Nobody ever could have thought it would happen this fast.
All right. You guys have a good evening.
Okay.
Thank you, Jason.
But at this point, again, Florida State holds the key, because even you saw where North Carolina's either AD or Chancellor, I can't remember which one it was, told Florida State to shut up. They said, this is you're out there ragging about, more, you want more money. And really, when you think about it, from the time Jimbo Fisher left Florida State, and it actually is last year, and until the last couple of years, they haven't been what they used to be either. And certainly Clemson has been the dominant program in that conference, and they're not out there.
Football.
Yes. Would they? Yeah. Would they? Well, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Do they want more money? Yes. Did 7 schools say they want to figure out a way where they get more money? And was Clemson one of them? Yes. But they're not out there making public statements like Florida State is. So it's just interesting to see what will happen there.
And see, Rick, this is where I don't really grasp at this point. By expanding, you can't even now with Texas and Oklahoma coming into the SEC, ESPN has not shown any interest at all in renegotiating that contract. Right. Who is to say if you got 4 of the ACC schools that, again, you're going to get any more out of that
Right.
television contract than what has already been guaranteed.
Again, every network, and ESPN is prime among all of them, is rethinking how they're going to keep increasing the ante for sports,
and they can't
when their income is going down. Again, their list of subscribers now, maybe their advertising goes up. I don't know. People still advertise on live sports. Ratings don't seem to matter as much because live sports is the one thing that you got to pay to get. But they're looking at how they can increase their revenue, and so they're not going to say, "Oh, you got 4 more schools? Sure, we'll increase what we're paying you by 25%," because the contract's signed. And I'm guessing, from what I've read, a little bit that I've read, there's no contingency in the contract for expansion.
Mm-mm.
So
No.
therefore, if other schools come in, then that doesn't mean the revenue is going to increase. So that means that everybody's already in the league gets less.
I just don't see the return. Even if the ACC, let's just go with this far imagined possibility of California and Stanford. It sounds ridiculous even saying it. Joining the ACC, what value does that add to the ACC in regards to television? Because we talked about this earlier, their package still goes on for another 13 years.
Yeah.
Why does TV want to rip up that package and renegotiate another one for California and Stanford to join the ACC? They're not going to do it. So what's the value?
Right.
What is the actual value of adding 2 more teams to the ACC? I don't get it.
No, there isn't any.
So,
yeah.
So the money stays the same, and there are more pieces to the pie now.
Yeah,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
That's right.
But again, they're giving all these prorated shares, though, to all these newbies. Now, USC and UCLA are not getting prorated shares next year. They'll be getting the full share.
That's right. They made the first announcement.
Right.
And I think the Big Ten negotiations the contract may not have been signed by the time they came in. I'm not sure.
I can't remember.
So they may have been able to benefit from those two.
And that may be the reason
But
why
they're signed now.
they have the most lucrative contract of any conference, is because you more than likely are right, Rick. They didn't have a signed sealed deal once they got USC, UCLA in there. And what did you say earlier? Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, this is the second biggest TV market in America.
Yeah.
Los Angeles.
And you got 2 schools there. So
oh, how you like that little
USC,
jewel?
They might like UCLA. Yeah. That's right.
But here's the deal: you're in Rutgers, New York.
Hey, the Big Ten's got New York City for whatever interest in college football there is.
No,
they've got it.
I'm just
They've
saying.
got Chicago. They've got Los Angeles. So they got some pretty major markets.
No, what I was saying here was you got Rutgers. Let's say they go play UCLA, and you're a Rutgers fan. You're going to stay up and watch the game. Well, heavenly days.
Yeah.
What time's that baby going to be over? 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
You just hope it's a weekend game.
And look at basketball.
Football, basketball.
Oh, basketball. Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo!
Tuesday
I cannot
night
imagine
basketball.
the cost.
Or the other way around. UCLA goes to Rutgers. The game starts at 8 o'clock, but that's 5 o'clock Pacific time. So people are driving home from work.
Well, that's happy hour.
They're going to enjoy radio. That gives radio a chance, doesn't it?
Well, it is. I've heard it now said multiple times. This final blow has destroyed college football and probably college sports. Enjoy this final season of what little normality there will be. All right. Don't forget, coming up next, Ray Tucker's Arkansas Outdoors for Rick Schaffer. I'm Randy Rainwater, along with my friend Ray Tucker. Buzz Animal Cruelty, spay and neuter your pet for the Buzz Radio Network. So long, everybody.